Brother Kadash, giving our praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rakakadash. Just want to hop straight into it. This says from Babylon to America because America, which is what is known in the Bible as Mystery Babylon, that great whore. But I'm going to title this one The Funeral of Mystery Babylon, which is the same thing as saying the funeral of America. So we're going to kind of breathe in this and see where the spirit goes. So a lot of people don't recognize, what is about to happen and what's about to take place. And when I say that, I'm talking about the magnitude of what's about to happen. Here it is, you got the richest country ever on earth, the strongest country ever on earth, right? The greatest country really ever on earth that we know of. And even still to this day, like this is the reason why you have people that are so proud when it comes to America and refuse because they can't see it. They can't see this place ever being destroyed. I've been traveling all back and forth through America, and one of the things I notice about it is it's huge. There's a lot of land out there that's nothing been done on, or a lot of farmland or just vacant land. And when I'm driving through these various different cities, like there's so many cities in America that you couldn't name all of them. No, you wouldn't know all the little small cities that got maybe 2,000 people in it or 200,000 people in it. There's so many cities in America, and when I'm driving through these cities, I'm just looking at it like, man, really, all this is going to be destroyed? Sometimes when you go to like Texas or you go to like a big city like Dallas, you look at that big city and you see the skyline and it's huge, and you be like, damn, this is going to be destroyed. And you have to ask yourself like, damn, this is really all going to be destroyed. So what type of power is it going to take? What type of event is it going to take to escalate to the point where those cities are going to actually be destroyed? So we're dealing with a power that like never before, which is really the Lord, a power that we can't even comprehend until it happens. And that's going to be the big shock. That's why when the various different prophets was seeing these prophecies, these visions, they'd get sick a lot of the time. A lot of time it'd be a lot on them to handle just seeing the vision, right? So imagine this vision playing out in real time. Imagine in today's time you actually being there, being a part of it. I had visions when I was younger. And one of the things that I used to vision was the war in the heavens, between the chariots and the fighter jets, and fighter jets getting blown out the sky. Like I said, you probably heard this if you watch my channel. You probably heard me give this testimony before, or this vision before. But I was seeing planes and shit fall out the sky, and like let's just say a plane may fall 3 to 4 blocks away from you, and it'll shake the ground. The Bible is prophecy that the ground is going to shake and rumble. So and that was scary. Like it'll give off a shock wave, and you would kind of have to like duck behind a building. You know what I mean? And you couldn't stand up because the ground was shaking so hard that you couldn't stand up. So I actually had these visions myself here, and it was happening here in America, Mystery Babylon. But I wanted to name this the funeral of Babylon, just to be able to get some precepts of what's going to lead up to that. And this event is going to be so great that this is going to overshadow the event that happened in Egypt, with the Israelites being led out of Egypt, and Egypt being plagued, and the Red Sea being split during the time of Moses. This is going to overshadow that. This is going to overshadow any kingdoms coming down or any kingdom in. This is going to be the greatest one, and this is going to be talked about, in the kingdom. This is going to be remembered, because Revelations 15, just to quote one, says that we're going to be singing the song of Moses. But Moses, during that time, the Israelites was led out of Egypt. On the firstborn, you got the Passover. Firstborn was killed. You got the past. You had a lot going on during that time, and it's a lot of similarities. Not even just to Babylon, but what's about to happen with America has a lot of similarities to Egypt too. That's why the scriptures say, which is called spiritually Sodom and Egypt. So it has a lot of similarities to Egypt too, because just like in Egypt, right, you had the damn, hopefully I don't You had the magicians, right? And they were trying to whatever plague happened, what they was trying to do is they was trying to redo it. I'm trying not to butcher it, but they was trying to redo it, right, to try to prove that it wasn't like the Lord's power, or it wasn't like a plague or a miracle, or like they could explain why it was happening. And you see Esau, he tries to do that when it comes to the chariots all the time. He tried to explain the chariots away, things like that, but what he's trying to do is, while he's being played, he's also trying to come up with different things, to keep his money from being, to keep the dollar at a certain way until he's ready to finally collapse it, because he's trying to get his new world order. He's trying to bring in his new world order, so he wants to get rid of the money, right? But what's the reason why he wants to get rid of the money? So he could bring in a different form of money, because the form of money he has now, the fiat currency, isn't going to last. So he's trying to bring in a digital, right? So he could be able to control everything through that digital. It'd be more controlled by him, right? And he can manipulate it however he wants to, So when the fiat currency is getting to the end of its life, just like those magicians, Esau's trying to come up with something new now, which is his whole new world order, and he knows the threat of the chariots coming back to destroy America. So now what he's trying to do, you got things like Space Force. So whatever the Lord or the Bible prophesies, Esau's trying to figure out a way around it. The Bible speaks of America being destroyed by nuclear warfare, right? So Esau's doing what? He's building bunkers, or he's trying to get a breakaway civilization to go to Mars with Elon Musk. It's a lot of similarities. Just like that time, you see Esau trying to do it today. He's trying to figure his way out. But the Lord's putting it in his spirit, and the Lord's going to put it in his spirit to even fight the chariots when he come back. But it's not going to end up like fucking Independence Day. Revelations 11, since I quoted it, right, verse 8, it says, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street in the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." So spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. It's not talking about the actual land of Sodom or Egypt. It's talking about what today is known as America. So same thing with Mystery Babylon. It's not talking about the ancient Babylon territorial. It's likening these places, because it's talking about America, right? But it's likening it to these wicked places too. So just like Egypt had the Israelites in slavery, America has the Israelites in slavery today. Now let's just jump into Revelation 17. I want to start at verse 2 because I'm trying to get straight to the point. It says, verse 3. It says, "So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns." And then you read about that 7 heads and 10 horns also in verse 7, right? And then it kind of breaks it down, because the beast has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The woman is carried by the beast, so she's sitting on top of the beast, right? Verse 4, "And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication." So that's a double strike right there, because it doesn't take much. This is talking about, it's likening a woman to these very rich things: scarlet color, decked with gold, precious stones. Well, we already know, like we started this lesson, America is the richest country on earth all time, right? So I mean, you just have to put two and two together. Then it's the most filthiest nation on earth and the most wicked nation on earth, because this is the, if you look out at any nation on earth, right, this is the earth, this is the country that goes against the Lord more than any other country on earth. Even though there are other wicked countries out there, really all the nations, right? But no place is more wicked than America, because they got their lands certain ways, but no place really got their land or compare to how America, the Edomites got America, which was through genocide, murder, robbery, right, rape, deceit, the list goes on and on and on, to millions and millions, really hundreds of millions when you add the Northern Kingdom and the Southern Kingdom, the blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. Hundreds of millions. And even to this day, our blood is still being spilled on this land, and we're still found in this man's hand. That no other slavery on earth compares to that, you know. So these things will obviously have to be in the Bible, right? Of course they are, and we reading them to you. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. 666, right? So this is the most wickedest place on earth, right? The mother of harlots. I mean, just think about America. It has the most military bases around the world than any other country. That's a horror to me. It's always in the affairs of different countries. That's a horror to me. Look at what's going over there in Ukraine right now. Guess who's there in the midst of it? America. Anytime Israel and Iran have a problem, guess who's in the midst of it? America. If China and Taiwan has a problem, an issue, guess who's going to be in the midst of it? America. If North Korea and South Korea has an issue, guess who's showing up to be in the midst of it? America. You don't see it? So, I mean, it's just complete blasphemy to say that America isn't spoken about in the Bible. Here it is, the Bible prophesy of all the major events on earth, but it's not going to prophesy about a place called America that's in all the major events on the earth right now. That gets involved in all the major events on earth, or that's the richest country with the richest nation, the strongest military, the number one economy on earth. The Bible just skipped over that part. I mean, it talks about the Lord coming back. It talks about the fire and brimstone, the second death. It talks about the famines. It talks about the MOTB, but it just doesn't mention America. That's complete blasphemy, man. Verse 14 says, I want to get straight to the point now. Talking about the other nations. It says, these shall make war with the Lamb, right? And the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord and the King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. Many are called, but few are chosen. So you got to be called and chosen, and you got to be faithful. Because what? Matthew 24, you got to endure to the end. So they going to make war with the Lamb. So here the Bible talks about a war with the Lamb, right? The Lamb represents Yahweh Shai, right? But it don't speak about America. You see how crazy that is? Verse 15, it says, and he saying to me, the waters which thou saw where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. This is just very simple and very easy to see. You can't see how America has influence over the whole world and is continuing to expand that influence over the whole world. All different type of peoples, all different type of nations, all different type of tongues. Go to South Africa right now. It's gonna, if you go to South Africa, Johannesburg, it's gonna look like America. You're gonna see skyscrapers. You know, you're gonna have people switching to English. A lot of people gonna be speaking English. You might see a Starbucks. You might see McDonald's. Come on, man. And the 10 horns which thou saw upon the beast shall hate the whore. You got NATO, and a lot of those NATO nations are going to turn against this whore, right? It says, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, like we always like to say, right? You got the EU nations, you know, you got the military side, the NATO, right? But how do one nation burn another nation with fire? This is why we say nuclear weapons. We not just making this shit up, man. How do one nation burn another nation with fire? You know, or these nations gonna come over here with with cocktail bombs and throw cocktail bombs, or are they going to come over here with flamethrowers, and are they going to start forest fires? No, one nation burns another nation by shooting what you call missiles on it. But today they have developed that to hypersonic nuclear missiles. That's like the top of the top, right? It says, for God has put, it's the reason why they have all these missiles, because they're going to use them. Therefore, appointed time. It says, for God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom into the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So where do we see that playing out on earth? Where there's nations, right, that's giving their kingdom into the beast. What is that? I mean, I could look into NATO right now, and I could see different nations, right, giving their kingdom into one thing called NATO, right, the treaty, right? And then you have a certain nation, which is stronger than all the other nations, that's sitting on top of that thing called America, that's really the bosses, that's really sitting on top of that, that all these other nations come in into and give their kingdom, give their power over to this nation that's sitting on top of it, that's really running it, which is America and NATO. Because anytime there's any conflict, who they're calling? Who the first person they coming to? They coming to America. The first nation they coming to, America. We got to get America involved. We got to get America involved because they combined with America because at one point in time, America was known for having the strongest military. They had all the technology. They had the missiles. They was the toughest kid on the block, right? But now that's starting to cease. And now they're starting to see like, oh, now Russia could compete with them. Okay, China could compete with them. And you're going to have a lot of people jumping ship, man. It says, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. So this ain't no small city. It's a great city, a whole country, right? It says, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. So where do we see that at, man? Sometimes this gets you pissed off, man. These false doctrines get you pissed off in the spirit, man, because it's like, this is clear. It's clear as day. Where do you see, right, a great city reigning over all the other kings, the other countries we call it today on earth? Who will fit that bill more than any other nation on earth? Any other country on earth? America. You see America reigning over all these other ones. That's why who gives out sanctions? Whenever something on earth happen or a country do something, who's the main one there to give out sanctions? It's America. America's there. America's we're gonna put sanctions on Russia. Who could put sanctions on Russia other than America? Oh, okay, well, we're gonna put sanctions on Russia. Then you have all the rest of the nations that's combined in the NATO. They'll come and then they'll start putting their little sanctions too. But they really got to get the green light from America. Okay, we gonna put sanctions on Iran. Okay, we gonna get into a trade war and put sanctions on China. Who could do that other than America? Okay, we gonna put sanctions on North Korea. You don't see it? It's America. It's reigning over all the other kings of the earth. Cause if not them, then who else? Let's jump to Revelations 18, because we're gonna get straight to the point. The funeral of Mystery Babylon, verse 8. It says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burnt with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judges her." So this indicates to me that the place, there's an actual geographic, right, place that's going to be burnt on fire. That place is called Mystery Babylon, because you have a false doctrine out there where people will try to say, look, it's a system. They say, look, the Vatican City, right, it's Mystery Babylon, and they run the earth, so their system is going to be burnt up and be on fire. And they try to get themselves out of that by saying, like, look, because you will start asking them questions like, look, the Vatican City is too small. The Vatican City only 1,000 square, not even 1,000 square miles. It's like a population of like 1,000 to 10,000 people, no more than that. You know, they have to have everything ported in. They don't grow things naturally there. You know, Revelations 18 kind of breaks down all the different merchandise, the gold, the silver, precious stones, and you say, where's this stuff being at in the Vatican City? It has to be brung there. Or you start asking questions like, the Vatican City is small. This is talking about the Vatican City is not greater than America. It's not greater than New York. It's not richer. It's not stronger. It doesn't have a stronger military force. And then they say, well, the Vatican City controls America. Okay, but you run into a problem. The place that's going to be burnt is an actual place, and that actual place that's going to be burnt is the place that's being called Mystery Babylon. So you say the Vatican City runs America, but America is going to be the place that's going to be burned. Guess what that makes America? Mystery Babylon. Because Mystery Babylon is going to be burnt, and it's an actual place, not a system, right? Even though the beast, then you have the beast system, you know, the image of the beast, you know, we get that. You have the NATO, right? The EU, right, which is a system in different countries coming together, but Mystery Babylon is the actual place that's going to be burnt on fire. It says, in the kings of the earth, right? So you got these kings of the earth, they're going to see, and this proves it even more, they're going to see this place burning on fire. This don't say the whole world's gonna and the whole system's gonna be burning on fire. It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her. So they're still alive. They're gonna be bewailing her. They're gonna be looking, seeing this actual geographic place on fire, not a system. You see, in this actual place, it's called Mystery Babylon. Sorry, I have to, go over that, like teaching the ABCs, but you got to, It says, for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, so they're actually going to see a place burning. And that place that they're going to see burning is called Mystery Babylon, which is the same place that's being called the Great City Babylon, the Mighty City, right? You wouldn't have to drop a nuclear bomb on the Vatican City to burn that place is small. They could drop a regular bomb, not even nuclear, and burn that place. You see, that's not a big thing to do. This is going to be one of the greatest events that ever happened on earth. This is going to overshadow Egypt, Exodus. So if this has, and what could overshadow that? A place like America being finally destroyed and being on fire, a gigantic place like this. If the Vatican City is, because we just read it and we just said their bodies should lay in the streets, right? Which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, right? So if Vatican City is Mystery Babylon, where are all the prophets at over there being slain? Where are all the prophets at in Vatican City that's in slavery? The Israelites, all the Israelites that's over there that's in slavery. I had to talk with a guy, they're Hebrews. He an Israelite, but they're pretty much Christians with a Hebrew twist, right? And I asked him that question. He was like, it's a future prophecy. He said it hasn't happened yet. So he was indicating to me that pretty much he believed that we were going to go into slavery. So in his mind, we still got hella years. Even though you could see that we're at the end, we got decades and decades to come because the Israelites still have to go into slavery in the Vatican, under the Vatican City, which is Mystery Babylon. In his mind, you see how dumb that sounds? We're already in slavery. But then at the same time, they believe they're Israelites, and they believe that Deuteronomy 28:68 speaks about us going into the transatlantic slave trade. So you mean that we're gonna go into another slavery that's gonna eclipse or be greater than the transatlantic slave trade? Huh? That don't mean. Come on, man. You can't get no greater than the transatlantic slave trade. And then you're gonna have Jacob's trouble, which is gonna be a time like never before, right? But just to go back, so I could prove that. Verse 6 in Revelation 17, it says, and I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. The same woman is Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth, right? I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahweh Shai. When I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. So that means that the saints will actually be here in the Mystery Babylon in America, where our blood was spilled on this land, because there is a such thing called regeneration, reincarnation. So we were back during the time of slavery. We continue coming back, but the Israelites' blood have been spilled on this land greater than any other place on earth. And that's why the Lord is going to wipe this place out the way that he is. But these other nations are going to be seeing it. Verse 10, standing afar off from the fear of her torment, back in Revelation 18, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, in 1 hour is thy judgment come. Who's going to be, if the Vatican City get destroyed, who's going to be, alas, 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 the Vatican City is destroyed? Oh man, that great Vatican City is finally got... No, man, that's not greater than America being destroyed. America being destroyed is a far greater, bigger event than if the Vatican City got destroyed. If the Vatican City get destroyed, they could just choose another land and just rebuild it. This shit will probably take less than a year to rebuild it. You see? They could take the Pope out and they could go build another church. You see how dumb that shit sounds? But you can't rebuild if a whole America got destroyed, you could never rebuild it again. Now, doesn't that make more sense? You could believe what you want to believe, right? But it's just for us to bring out the truth to you, whether if you accept it or not. Romans 3, verse 3, you know? I'm just giving it to you, and then you can make your decision if you accept it. You know, because even when you go through verse 11, 12, 13 says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. So wait, the Vatican City has all this merchandise that it's selling? No, this is talking about America. This is why America could put things like sanctions on you, because they have that power, right? The Vatican City, look, verse 12, the merchandise of gold, silver, precious stone, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, all dyed on wood, all matters vessels of ivory, matters of vessel of precious wood, brass, iron, marble, cinnamon, odors, ointments, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, beasts, sheep, horse, chariots, slaves, and souls of man. And you telling me this is just all coming from the Vatican City? And then right here, when you get to verse 11, then this when they switch it up on you and they say, well, no, they say, look, the Vatican City is Mystery Babylon, but it's a system. And the Vatican City is behind the whole system and runs the whole system. That's what they say. But the problem they continue to run in is that Mystery Babylon is the actual place that's going to be put on fire. And it's the same place that the merchants are going to mourn over, because this place, not that this place has control over other places that have these things, but this place actually produces all these materials. Gold, silver, precious stones have all these things. And if you go on Google, right, and I did a video on this before, if you type in a country with the most gold, guess who pops up as number one? America. What a coincidence. Because these dudes, right, they'll fucking give you they give you some articles and shit with Vatican City, the Vatican City Church having rooms and shit that's pure gold. Man, Trump got a fucking tower with rooms in it in Chicago that are made out of pure gold, suites and shit made out of pure gold. You think that's something compared to America having the most gold, damn near by double? I think they said that you could add the second, third, and fourth place all together, and America still has more gold than all of them. Which one makes more sense? Right now, let's jump back, because America will cease. You know, that's why I named this the funeral of America. And during that funeral, this is what we're gonna be saying. Oh man. Isaiah 14, I'm going to get straight to the point, in and out. Verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. You know, so you got to get out of these churches, man. These Christian churches. These dudes is calling themselves that's praying on the name of Jesus Christ, saying all nations could be saved. Because what they telling you just don't match with the Bible. The Lord said He's going to have mercy on Jacob and choose Israel. They telling you that all people could be one and all people could be saved. Read the book of First Maccabees, chapter 1. It says, and set them in their own land. So that's separating, right? But we're going to be in power. And then, we're going to have the other nations there. But it's going to tell you what's going to happen to them. And the strangers should be joined with them and should cleave to the house of Jacob. You know, you got the Israelite foreigners. They're going to come back into the fold. Right, just like I give you an example, because a lot of brothers try to run past that, but it's easy to break down. Just like before we came into the truth, right? Before I came into the truth, I was a stranger to this, even though I'm an Israelite by blood from the tribe of Yehoiada, Judah, right? I was a stranger to it, and what did I do? You had to cleave on, to learn. You cleave on to the elders by watching the video. You cleave on to the big brothers. If you at a camp, you cleave on to the brothers that's already in it. Like I had, we got a brother, Quinat, that came in to the truth. He had to cleave on. I was in the truth before him. He cleaved on to me to get breakdowns, to get understanding, to get direction, how to set up camp, how to do camp. As he was watching videos of the elders and the other big brothers of GMS, learning and still learning and reading and praying to get more knowledge and wisdom himself. He came in as a stranger. We all did. That's all it's talking about. Verse 2. It says, and the people should take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land. Right? So the other nations, we're going to, because Israelites aren't going to possess other Israelites in the kingdom. Right? So who are we going to possess? The other nations. It says the house of Israel, which is the same as saying the people of Israel, shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. Wait, they telling you that all people could be saved and we're going to be one people. It said, and they should take them. And then they said, look, well, yeah, they're going to be servants, but they're not going to be slaves. Then it says, and they should take them captives who captives they were. Were we slaves? Deuteronomy 30 tells you that the curses that was put on us, which was slavery, is going to be put on the other nations, which is going to be slavery. It says, and they should rule over their oppressors. Wait, taking people captives and ruling over them, that don't sound like butlers and shit. Sound like a little bit more, right? It said it'll sound like they could put it a 2-week notice and quit. That don't. I'm not reading that from that. It says verse 3, and it should come to pass in the day that the Lord should give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. When it's saying that, who is it referring to? The house of Israel, not all people. This is simple, man. It says that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased that golden city? And we're in and this is all talking about Babylon, right? So if we talking about the funeral of mystery Babylon, right? So if we were captives and we're going to take captives who we were captives, right? And we're going to tell the king of Babylon, look, how has thy oppressor ceased that golden city? Ceased, right? So where were we took into captivity at? In America. So you can't have it both ways. You can't say the so-called Negroes and believe the so-called Negroes is Israelite and believe yourself as an Israelite because you a Negro, right? But then say that America is not mystery Babylon. That won't make no sense. Because we were taken into captivity, and that same place we was taken into captivity is being called the Golden City, mystery Babylon. That's why we're going to take captives who we were captives. We were in captivity in the Vatican City, man. Not Israel as a nation. That means Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom as the boatload. As a nation together. No. So that wouldn't make no sense for the Vatican City to be mystery Babylon. The only place that fits the script perfectly, which they just refuse to, which we know why. A lot of them, the young ones, and they just following their leaders, the blind leading the blind. They leaders took the bag, but they don't know that. They just think they following their leaders. They done took the bag, they done sold out, or they have other reasons why they don't want, or they scared. They want to be liked for the truth rather than loved. Rather than hated for the truth. Things like that, right? So we putting it together. The place we're gonna take captives who we were in captivity under, which is America. So if you believe we're the Israelites, then you have to by default believe that we're gonna take the Edomites or the so-called Caucasians captivity because that's who took us in captivity. That's who took the Native Americans, Latinos, and Negroes in captivity. So who else will we take in captivity? Because who took us in captivity? Them. You see the clues that it's putting there? In the place, obviously, that we going to take up this proverb. So we going to go to the Vatican City and we're going to be knocking on the doors of the Vatican City saying, look, how did y'all cease? This golden city, y'all was oppressing us. How did this place cease? No, we're going to be here in America. We're going to see it. We already see it coming down. And we're going to see it. We're going to be like, look, this place ceased, man. The golden city. And then eventually it's going to be taken out, destroyed. It said in 1 hour. And what's going to happen? The elect are going to be saved. And then you're going to have Revelations 15 where we're going to be singing the song of Moses and praising the Lord for destroying that place. That's how it all goes together. So this has been the funeral of Babylon the Great of America. With that, I'm going to say salvation to the elect. Shalom.